what was the episode you started to feel more comfortable as a producer?
I think the episode where I was like, I'm not bad at this. I'm not as bad as I think, because sometimes I have to remind myself that my mistakes aren't the blueprint of me.
Ooh.
For a long time, I might do 10 things good and one thing bad, and oh my God, my whole month is ruined.
Yeah,
my day is ruined,
thing.
I'm horrible, I'm never gonna recover from this. And then you wake up the next day, you do it again, and it's like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. And I think when I started shifting my focus that way was honestly in a recent episode in Melissa Ford.
Hey everybody, it's Maureen, and this is my podcast, Weighing In on the Way In, where I speak to dynamic women behind the scenes in the entertainment industry and find out what they did to land their current career position. With an emphasis on current, because let's face it, we evolve, we move on, and we lean in closer to a more purpose-driven life. Along the way, we amass a gold mine of information that I feel is worth sharing. Today, I'm super excited because we're filming in person, and we are weighing in on Brittany Ortiz's Weigh In. Welcome to the show, Brittany!
Brian is 10 minutes out.
I'm here in real life.
In real life. What's up?
Living the dream, another Saturday in Brooklyn. Yada yada, so glad to be here with you.
I'm so glad to have you.
I'm normally not on camera type of person, besides the little bit of like BTS you probably get when I'm producing Angie Martinez's IRL. So this is interesting to be on the other side of this.
On the other side of the camera. So I usually like to start with humble beginnings.
Okay.
Where are you from?
Okay, well, my parents are New Yorkers. I was actually born in Queens, but we were the family that moved to Miami. I feel like every New York family knows like, oh, I got cousins in Florida, or I got blah, blah, blah. We were the family that moved to Miami. So I grew up there from like the age of 3, 4 throughout high school. And then I went to Syracuse University.
Okay.
I left the wonderful
World of Miami.
Yeah, World
The
of
heat.
Miami. Yeah, and went to the absolute Arctic in Syracuse. And that's where I studied television, radio, and film. I hosted a radio show out there, hip hop. And when I moved to New York, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have any internships. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna move to New York and figure it out. And now, 5, 6 years later, I'm here producing Angie Martinez IRL.
All right, talk to me about teen Brit. Who was she? Was she influenced by social media? Did she have her head on her shoulders, or was she a hot mess?
I think everyone thinks they're not a hot mess when they're a teenager, but they definitely are. I definitely, my only plan, my parents didn't go to college. My mom didn't graduate high school, so my only plan was, how can I get a scholarship to college? My parents can't afford it. Everything I'm doing is so that I can get some money to go to school. So I was in a lot of sports. I was just trying to figure out how to be the most unique, standout applicant so that people could think I was spectacular and that I could get into a good school.
What kind of sports were you playing?
Oh, I played everything under the sun. I did basketball, I ran track, but I got my final foot in playing water polo. So random.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I went to a Alonzo and Tracy Mourning Senior High.
Okay.
It was named after the famous Miami Heat player, Alonzo Mourning, and his wife. And it was a brand new school. And it was across the street from the middle school I had went to. And I was like, oh, I want to go to a brand new school because that means new books, new bathrooms, everything's fresh and brand new. And I could make my imprint on there. And people want new things to be successful. So I knew that they were going to invest a lot of energy and care into the kids, especially it being like a public high school. And it was smaller than the other high schools, so I know, again, I got like special attention.
Okay. And you said you were an older sibling. How many siblings?
Oh, I have one younger sister. We're like 6 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was definitely like, I wouldn't say a second parent, but you kind of take on that role as an older sibling and those responsibilities a lot. Especially being, I'm such a like a girl's girl. People say that, but like I'm really about that life.
Okay.
So I try to always like be a role model for my sister as well.
Okay. Did you get the scholarship?
I did. Like I was a posse scholar. Some people are familiar with that. Apparently, it's like harder to get into a posse program than it is to get into Harvard. That's the slogan they used to tell us.
Okay.
And the posse scholarship, you had to apply you had to get nominated for it. You couldn't just like apply, from my understanding. I don't know how it is now. And we would go through like 3 rounds of interviews and all of these like workshops. And at the final stage, 10 people from a city would get chosen and they would get sent to a school. The theory behind the posse scholarship was that you were less likely to drop out if you had a support system with you to go to school. Okay. So it worked. My whole posse crew, shout out to them. We all graduated, we all finished. We're in different parts of the states and stuff, so worked out. Thank you, posse.
Thank you, posse. So now you graduate from Syracuse and then you make your way to New York.
Yes.
The state where things happen, right?
Yes.
How was it for you?
In college, I hosted that radio show, and afterwards, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I could probably like get a really great job in Miami and like do the traditional thing of stay home with your parents, stack up bread, and figure it the fuck out. I had one aunt that lives here, and I was like, I just want to try to make it in New York. I had no plan whatsoever. She was like, I got an air mattress for you, and that's it. And I give you free rent for 1 year. And I was like, all right, I'm already doing the college living in a room with a bunch of roommates anyways, let me just try it. So I like worked a little job at a country club to try to stack up enough bread to leave, to leave college. And when I did that, I threw all my stuff in a van and I just drove up here and I moved. And every day I was, from the moment I got to New York, I was looking for like an opportunity. Like there was no Wi-Fi in the house. I had to go to the library to get in on Wi-Fi. Every morning I deflated the air mattress and hit the ground running.
Did you know what you were looking for? Did you have any idea?
I'm like a 1 foot in front of the other kind of person. Okay. I'm just like, each day we're just gonna see how close I can get. I knew that I needed to network. I needed to meet way more people than I knew because I didn't have any like close connections to someone who was in radio, in TV. I mean, I have my alumni status, so I could go that traditional route, but unless it's different when you spend like FaceTime.
Okay, so you were looking to get your foot in the door in radio, or?
In music, actually.
Okay.
My initial intention was to get my foot in the door in music. So I started going to concerts. Okay. I was like, what's the number one way to like meet people in music? Well, you go to concerts. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of time at SOBs, Sound of Blues.
I performed there.
You're a singer?
Used to be a long time ago, not anymore.
Oh, wow. R&B?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time over there with my good friend. His name is Sator. Mm-hmm. He's a photographer, really good. You should look him up. Mm-hmm. He used to get like passes and special permits to go into these concerts and these different venues. So he would kind of drag me along, and I would just like work through them. Some days I would just go and enjoy the show, or most of the time though I would meet somebody. I'd meet people from different record labels. I'd meet young girls who were like trying to be in front of the camera and doing backstage interviews. I met promoters of concerts. And I did that for a while. I started a podcast very briefly called MC She. It was about women in hip hop.
Okay.
This was like.
That's cool, MC She. I like that name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
My college capstone was like, we did a documentary based on women in hip hop and like the evolution of that, which is so funny because now there's a Netflix show.
Yes, on that. Yeah. I think I watched like 4 episodes.
Yeah. Queen Latifah's. Angie was in it too.
Okay.
So I did that. I was working at a salon to like stack up bread to leave. And at one of those shows, I bumped into someone who worked for Angie.
Okay.
And she was like a manager, used to be an assistant. And she also had went to Syracuse. She was a little bit older than me. And she met up with someone else who was also in the show. He was a photographer and he also went to Syracuse. We were the same age. And he says, hey, what's her face is over here? And she says, Angie Martinez is looking for an assistant. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where's she at? Because I need a job and I'm tired of sleeping on this air mattress.
What year were you in? Like, what part of the year were you in? Was like this?
This was, actually, you got it right on the nail. It was about 6 months into living into New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was at a Snow Allegra concert, actually.
Okay.
So Snow Allegra has a special place
Place in your heart.
Yeah, special place in my heart, because I'm like, yo, every time I hear it, that was like the beginnings of like my journey here. And so I went up to her, I was like, hey, I heard Angie Martinez is looking for an assistant. She was like, Britt, yeah, da 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 da. So she gave me the gist of it. We met like a week or two later about it, I think. And then she was like, okay, you have to interview for it. And then I was like, okay. So then I met with Angie at Rock Nation, and she asked me a couple questions. I think I gave her my resume. I sent her away with a thank you card. I don't remember anything I said at that interview. When you're fresh out of college, it's like, you don't really know how to sell yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the art of interviewing is an art in itself. Like pitching yourself every single time. I didn't have any of the verbiage. I don't remember what I said, but she was just like, screw it, let me try
It seems like
try out
you're
this girl.
probably just being yourself, if anything.
I mean, I didn't have anything else to offer.
Were you nervous?
Of course I was
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah, I think I had a lot of energy that for her was like, whoa. Because I came in like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. And I did this and I did radio and I'm just looking for an opportunity and I'm so excited. And oh my God, you're Angie Martinez. Like, I definitely feel like I was on 1,000. 1,000. But, you know, you get to use up all that energy. And then she had me on like a probation. When you start as an assistant, most people will have you on a probationary period, like 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they see, okay, you're doing all right, or they keep investing into you. And then after like 2 years passed, then I was assistant for that time, and then I became a producer for her.
Well, I know that in LA, assistants have a hard time. How was
No. Assistants everywhere have a hard time in all fields.
Okay, how
in
was it
all
for you?
fields. What do you mean? How was it for me?
Was it rough for you to be an assistant?
Of course.
In what way? Was it like because you were being a gopher? Was it because like you were working long hours? Was it because you had to deal with a lot of different personalities, which is great for a producer? That's, you know, later on. But what was the most challenging part for you?
I think back then I used to have a way louder personality.
Okay.
I feel like now it's coming back a little bit because I feel like I have more experience in my field. But I feel like I was just like a little bit more outgoing and loud, and I feel like I silenced myself a little bit because I came into a space that nobody knew me, and this was my one shot, and I really didn't want to mess it up. I couldn't afford to mess it up.
Yeah.
So, and I also felt like I always want more. Humans in general, we always want so much more. And the tasks of being an assistant, you know, are very level one.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the car, you're gonna park it, you're gonna get the dry cleaning, you're gonna make all the medical appointments. It's like, okay, am I growing doing this? And what's the end goal here? But you play that part and you do it long enough and you do those things well enough that you start to open your eyes at the opportunities that might pop up that you can sliver your way in. So like an opportunity that I saw my way through was because I was traveling so much as an assistant with your client, you get to see all the different gigs they get.
Right.
So not only is Angie on the radio, but people would interview her for podcasts or interview her for TV shows. She's doing live TV, recorded TV, movies, audio. Like, I'm getting exposed to so many different types of mediums and so many different types of people. And whenever I was on set for those type of gigs, I was like, oh, I like this. Oh, this is how they run a set. Oh, this is what a producer does. Oh, this is what an audio person does. Oh, whenever she does a show, she has to have prep. It's somebody's job to do her prep packet for her. Somebody's doing research. Okay, and he edits the clips. Oh, okay. And I started learning the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. You were getting a good inside look. So, what would you say was your biggest takeaway as an assistant? Because obviously you moved on from being an assistant.
Yeah. No job is too small. And even if you're just running, if you're starting out as an intern, as an assistant, as whatever entry level, if someone is asking you to do something, try to do it to the best of your ability.
The best of your ability,
Yeah.
I believe that.
Because
too.
if I can't trust you to go get the car, I can't trust you to whatever, look up whose celebrity birthdays today, I can't trust you to do those things, how can I trust you with the bigger task?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway. I always believe that whatever you're doing in one job will translate into the next, you know? So do what you're doing really well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you should want to too, because it's like prideful.
But some people hate what they're doing, so then...
You can, no, who likes being an assistant? I don't know.
I mean, but you were laser focused, right? You had a bigger picture. You were like, okay, I'm doing this for now.
Yeah.
I have an end goal. This is not it for me. And
Yeah.
I'm being exposed to like all these different departments. So,
Yeah.
But it's like you go into Sephora to go get your makeup done,
This is
and the
interesting.
makeup artist hates the place that she happens to be working
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
She's miserable. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you kind of have to take your head out of that and think about what your end goal is, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what.
How
you
do people
did.
do that though? If
You have to be intentional. Like, hey Derek.
Hi, Derek.
I was just telling Derek before you came that I did a water fast for.
That's so crazy. I just did a fast, not
Did you?
fruit and veggies, but
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And now I'm doing no fried foods.
Good. I did a water fast for 14 days, 2 weeks. And people are like, oh, aren't you hungry? Can't you do like we had a Super Bowl event at my place and there was, all the typical Super Bowl food. And people are like, aren't you hungry? You're not tempted? I'm like, I'm on day 6. I'm not gonna mess up my day 6.
I put in all this work, yeah.
Exactly. So you just have to be, I think it's all about being really intentional, So kudos to you.
Thanks.
Because eventually you become the producer of IRL. And we know who Britt is because we hear Britt all the time.
Britt.
The first podcast episode that officially branded you or solidified you as a producer, and let me know if I'm wrong, was the Lauren London episode on Angie Martinez's IRL. What were you feeling in that moment?
Well, funny enough, the first episode we actually shot was Joe Budden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we actually had to shoot him twice because the first one was it just wasn't up to a certain standard. It didn't look good. The sound was weird.
Okay.
After doing that first shoot, I was like, whoa, this is a lot of work. And it's not like we had a team of people. It's just kind of like me and Angie trying to figure it all out, ask other people that we know in the industry, how do podcasts happen? And podcasts now are not, this is a talk show.
Yeah.
It's
in
not,
a way, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even, you're shooting like Jennifer Hudson shoots or like how big talk show shoots is. It's very incremental differences between the two.
Yeah, less cameras, less crew.
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, I think I need to stick a pin because I kind of jumped into that. How did you transition into Angie's producer?
Okay, so I actually remember the moment. Angie was shooting a campaign for Coach with Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay.
It was virtual, and it was at the Roxy Hotel, and there was crew, whatever, and I remember thinking remember I told you earlier, I had kind of like silenced myself a little bit. Maybe that was from not feeling worthy of opportunities or that I didn't know enough. And I had never really opened my voice to say, I think I want to produce. And I had been on a lot of shoots up until this point. So at the Coach campaign, I was taking videos and I was sitting there listening and watching the people work. And I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can do this. I think I can really do this. And I told Angie after that, I was like, hey, I really like being on set. I would like to take, I think I want to maybe produce. I want to figure that out. And then I don't know if this was before or after she had this car accident and her focus shifted. She says it all the time at IRL. I started this podcast. I was rethinking things in my life. And she was like, I want you to produce it. And I was like, oh my God, this is a really big job. This is Angie. Angie has only had one other podcast before this. So I felt so honored and that she trusted me enough to kind of embark on this journey with her.
Did you feel worthy?
At the point, it was like half and half. I think I did feel worthy because I was like, oh my God, finally, it's been like 2.5 years. oh, I get to try something new. But at the same time, I was absolutely terrified because it's like, yo, what if that's always the fear. What if I f this up? Like bad. What if I f it up? And I mean, I'm still making mistakes, but you get a new try every episode. Every shoot, you get to try again. So.
All right, so Joe Budden was actually the first episode.
Yeah.
What was the second episode?
Joe, I think it was, so when you're shooting episodes, sometimes they don't come out in the time that you shoot them. You shoot them all chopped up.
Sure.
We did Joe Budden, Mary J. Blige, and then after that, I think that's when we went to LA and did Lauren and she decided to put Lauren first.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So,
but if you want to talk about Lauren, we could go further.
No, when you did the Joe Budden episode, so that was the day that you were like, okay, officially I'm a producer.
Yeah.
What was it like on set for you? What was going through your head? It was just you and Angie at the time? I mean, you had some crew.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking, okay, there's so much work before a shoot happens. There's like, the day of is the smallest amount of work that you're honestly putting. Before and after is where the magic really happens.
Pre and post,
yeah, like everything. You really have to go through a full checklist before, and I didn't know any of that. So I really depended on my DP, my shooters, my other crew behind the scenes to educate me. And I cherish teamwork and people who've given me constructive criticism, because I knew nothing. Like, I was like, oh, a grip? A what? Oh, a grip is what you call.
A C-stand?
Yeah, what is this? Oh, and the mic, well, you tell me how the mic sounds. They're giving me headphones to let me know how it sounds. I'm like, I don't know, I guess it sounds fine until it's not.
Right, until it's not. So, and Angie knew this obviously, so she was taking a chance on you.
Yeah, but Angie has been, the good thing about working with a veteran woman is like, she knew a lot of the things I didn't too. Okay. And so I was just always like, my ears are on, I'm paying attention, I'm looking around, I'm asking questions, like in overtime.
Okay. What was the episode you started to feel more comfortable as a producer? So like, there's Budden, there's Mary, there's London, then which episode were you like, okay, I feel like I have my feet on the ground?
Oh, like I'm getting good at this? I'm so hard on myself. So I'm like, has that moment?
Aren't we all?
has that moment? I don't know if that's a woman thing too, because the other women I look to as mentors and guides, like they're also very critical of themselves and high standards.
Yeah, it could be. I'd have to ask a guy. I just feel like
I'm sure they're out there.
We want to be good at everything. And so even like motherhood, you want to be good at motherhood, but you want to.
But it goes back to the intention thing. Anyways, I think the episode where I was like, I'm not bad at this. I'm not as bad as I think, because sometimes I have to remind myself that my mistakes aren't the blueprint of me.
Ooh.
And
that was nice.
And for a long time, I might do 10 things good and one thing bad, and oh my God, my whole month is ruined. Yeah, my day is ruined. I'm horrible. I'm never gonna recover from this. And then you wake up the next day, you do it again, and it's like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. And I think when I started shifting my focus that way was honestly in a recent episode in Melissa Ford.
Oh, I love that episode.
She was so phenomenal.
She's just like,
yeah,
it's like an SAT book.
No,
she just thinks.
I love everything that she represents.
Yeah.
I can't wait for her to venture on her own and do her own thing. But when we did that, I had prepped really well. My crew was like showed up great that day. The lighting was good. Angie looked good. Everybody looked good. I had a nice fit on. Like I felt good. And I was just in high esteem. I was like, okay, I'm finally getting systems that are working for me. Yeah.
Are you editing in your head or making edit notes while you're watching the filming?
You know, Angie is she has been doing this so long, so she's like a producer herself. And because I've gotten to spend so much time with her as an assistant, I can track her brain a little bit and how it works.
That's great.
And I can see her making, like, she might re-ask a question in a different way. So sometimes in my prep for her, I'll write the same question a couple different times. Does she use the notes all the time? No, but at least you have some framework there to go off of.
Right.
When I'm in the chair listening and watching to the interview, I'm watching for story arc. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this person didn't give me an example of this. Because in clips, you want like punchy moments. You want, oh, I survived the worst heartache of my life. Okay, well, tell me more about that heartache. Tell me a time when you were crying on the floor. Like, be descriptive, like how Melissa Ford was, which is why I love that episode so much, because she was so elaborate and passionate.
She was, yeah.
So a lot of the times I'll jump in when Angie goes, Britt, did I forget anything? Is there anything else? I'm like, well, can we go back to this point? Can we dive deeper into there? Because you want to give the audience something to hold on to.
Sure, and you're taking notes and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so what's the most challenging time you've had on set? Forget about your first couple of times.
Yeah.
Now that you have your feet planted on the floor.
Oh, it always sucks when we spend a lot of time. When you get on set, you have like hours before your talent arrives. You got to bring in all your gear, you got to set up, you got to put the lighting, you test. And sometimes a guest might come into the chair and they don't like how they look. And we only have them for a certain time. Scheduling is an absolute nightmare. Booking, I praise those whose careers are in booking, because I cherish you and I value, especially when you have a show when it's relying on, do I have a guest today?
Yeah.
It is just awful. So we had this one person on set for maybe 90 minutes, if that. And that 90 minutes starts as soon as they get out the car. Like, so really you only have them for 30 or an hour. You really only have them for an hour. And the first 45 minutes of this person getting in the chair, we were fixing their lighting. Because they weren't happy with the way they looked. And at some point you have to make the executive decision and say, this is as good as it's gonna get. And we need to move forward.
And is that your job to
Yes.
say? And how was that?
It's Angie's footing the bill. So at the end of the job, I'm like, I have to relay that message. I'm like, we need to stop now. We have only this amount of much time.
But you're
We're not
relaying
gonna
that
have
to
Angie and crew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I have to tell the lighting person, look, thank you. You've tried enough. Let's lock it in here.
Okay.
And we're gonna go forward with
What
what
did
it is.
talent
Yes.
say?
So the way I deliver messages to a crew is different from when I deliver it to the talent.
Please, yes.
With my crew, I love them, and I can be like, yo, we're not doing this anymore. Leave it alone. The light is fine. We're not, you tried this way, that way. Okay, and what do you think? I get your input. I already know what I want in my head. I get your input. Okay, look, the light is wrong this way, blah, blah. Okay, that's what you think. I think that as well. We're gonna stay right there. You're gonna let it rock. You did a good job. I pat them on the back because they're also under stress. So I wanna encourage my crew. I don't want them to feel like they did a bad job in the moment. After the shoot, we can have critique back and forth.
Yeah.
In the moment, I need to uplift you. Okay, sit down, have a seat. And then I go to Angie, hey, this is where it's at. Look, this is how it looks. I think we're fine here. And if these are the concerns, this is how my resolutions for these concerns. Right. And then you go to the talent, whoever you need to talk to. Hey, I think she looks great. I think he looks great. Okay, we're good. Are you good with it? Don't worry, we'll take care of you. We'll show you. You try to encourage them. And then you have to move on with the show.
Right.
And hope to God that they're like, take the whole thing down. Because then it's like, oh, I did a bad job today.
How do you decompress after each interview?
After each interview, I try to only do what's absolutely necessary to close up the shoot. So I want to forget almost about it altogether. And I just like let whatever I received stick with me. And then the following day, I'll, get into closing up whatever invoices, blah, 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 making sure the footage gets to the place it needs to get to. But I think I just like go about my life. Like,
right. Okay.
Yeah, I try not to do anything else work related, which I'm actually terrible at because I feel like I'm always working and everything I think, hear. I'm always in the brain of, oh, that would be a good content idea, or this would be, what about this person for an interview?
Yeah, you got to kind of turn it off.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
It's hard.
If you have any tips, let me know.
Man, like you said, go on with your life. Just give it a rest and do whatever else like just makes you happy. And when you have to get back into it, you jump back into it. Now, are you a post producer too? So are you very involved in post production?
Oh yeah, because it's only Angie and I, we are selecting themes.
Okay.
So Angie does a full like story edit because she's especially particular about, in IRL, we're especially particular on the storyline and how we're portraying our guest and what message that we're sending.
Yeah.
And also protecting that messaging, because sometimes clips get taken out of an interview or something ends up on whatever blog.
Right.
You know which blogs I'm talking about. And
I know.
and then you're like, whoa, that was not the context of it. So I'll identify like special moments. Oh, I really like when Melissa said this about her mother. Or I really like when Usher said this about relationships. And it's a collaborative effort between what gets posted in the end.
Okay. Do you write notes afterwards so that you can improve? Or do you have like a little book? Or are you typing it in your drafts in your phone? Like, next time, do this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And there's always notes. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to a point where there's not going to be notes. Yeah. Because there's just it's too many variables on set. I do a lot of restructuring of systems. Like, I'll tell you of a mistake I made recently. So we had a shoot all set up. We had the talent booked weeks in advance, whatever. We had the studio, everything set up. We're ready to go. And the morning of, the guest doesn't make their flight. Okay. I've done all this work before, whatever. And I sent an email as soon as I got word that this shoot might be canceled because this person didn't make their flight. I'm like, hey guys, just letting you know, this might be canceled because the person didn't get the flight. Cool. I let my DP know, who kind of he's also a producer in a way for me because we're such a small team. So I thought he disseminated that message into the spirit as well as my email. So I sent another follow-up email. Hey guys, this shoot is completely canceled. That's it. Then we'll take next steps. And then I get an email late that evening. The shoot was supposed to happen earlier the day. I'm thinking it's all wrapped up, whatever. And I get it from one of my crew members who writes me this super long email, basically that he's pissed off because he went to set with his stuff. And he's telling me like, you should have sent a text or called when on short notice. Yeah. So I had to think about, I'm like, dang, I probably should have done that, but I did send 2 emails. So why didn't those 2 emails make it? But I had to go in, this is not a blame game. I'm the leader of this pack here, and it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody receives this final call message.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure because as a producer, you have your hand in almost everything.
No, not almost everything.
In everything, yeah. And you have to kind of gauge personalities. You have to make sure everything is right on set. You have to make sure everyone is happy. You have to make sure that whatever's supposed to be on set is there. You got to make sure food is right. Don't get food wrong. Don't give crew pizza.
Make sure you have coffee.
I've had pizza one time and they went nuts.
Really?
Yeah, I don't serve
What's
pizza
the problem with pizza? It's New York.
They feel like
you half-assed it.
What'd you say?
You half-assed it, like you didn't try.
Oh, not even half-assed, but that they've been on set long hours, and so they should get better food.
Give me sustenance.
I like pizza, but
me too.
You ain't heard that from me.
I'm picking good spots. I'm picking good food spots.
All right, so how do you improve your producing game?
Oh, talking to people. So that email, I could have been like, what the hell is your problem? You still got paid for did you take a little train ride, went down there, came back, you still got paid. What's the issue? Oops, my bad. But I didn't. I was like, you know what? You're right.
That would be wrong. Because it's their energy, they're carrying all that stuff,
It would be, but if you bring aggressive, like, energy to someone, you gotta have enough strength to not match that.
What are you doing to improve your producing game?
Asking people for feedback. Asking people for feedback and going through, I have a checklist at the end of every shoot that I go through afterwards. Okay, did these people show up on time? How did I feel about the lighting? How did I feel about the conversation flow? Are there new questions I should introduce? So I just go over every like single part. I go over how much did I spend on this shoot? Do I have somewhere to spend to pull a little more? So making sure that you're sitting with yourself afterwards and making your own checklist about where are the things I did great and where are the things that I can shift stuff around.
For sure. What are you using for budgeting? Are you using like Excel or are you using some kind of program?
Oh, no, everything is Google Drive because I have to share it across so many people. So call sheet is Google Drive. Sending hard drives, I keep a very long Google sheet of like, these are my hard drives I have out right now. This is what footage is on it. This is what date I gave it, how I gave it. Did I send it in a car? Did I send somebody with it? The last time, I'm like super crazy anal about where my footage lives.
Do you have a DIT on set?
It's different every set though.
Okay.
So I need to maintain my own system because I have to tell them every single time how to disseminate. And sometimes it's me.
Okay. So when you transitioned into a producer, what was, people don't like to talk about it, but what was money like from assistant to producer?
Oh, it's still not good. It's not. The amount of work that a producer has to do it just doesn't amount. It doesn't. But
well, maybe you're not on one of those. I mean, the highest I've ever made as a producer when I first moved to LA, I was making 80. I was like, oh, okay, that helps.
Were you getting paid though as a freelancer?
No, I was hired full time.
Okay, so they took the taxes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so most producers in my experience, they get paid as a contractor, which is a nightmare, which can be a nightmare for taxes because you're responsible to pay the IRS.
Right.
And I didn't know that in the beginning. I didn't know that. I had to ask my other freelance friends, like, okay, what's the system you have? Do you have a tax person? Because nobody wants to get caught up by the IRS.
No, you need your 1099.
Yeah. I think, the most, you want me to say the most I've ever made?
Whatever you feel comfortable. You could say a range. I mean, the thing is people never really talk about money, so people don't know. And I feel like people should talk about it. Like, why do we keep it? Like, because you don't know what to ask for. Like, if you have the opportunity to have this job, then it's like, okay, because there's a negotiating table. So what am I negotiating?
And no one's honest either. So the first time I started consulting people on doing podcasts, and there was a woman who wanted to do a podcast, and she was asking me, well, how much would you charge per episode? And I was like, oh, this is new, I don't know. So I remember asking a couple of people that I knew, and they're asking people that they know, and the range that I got was from $500 a day to 10% of the overall budget.
Oh, wow.
Right, and then I even also got, you get a part of what the director gets, depending on what type of shoot it is. Like if it's a TV shoot or something. But there was no, like, this is the standard.
Okay, yeah.
And when I heard 500, that was the first answer I got. Oh, 500 an episode. I said, for what? 500 for what? You want me to scout the location, to prep, to edit, for $500, and then again,
per episode
after taxes, I'm barely going out to dinner after that.
Right? No, ramen.
And then, so I don't know what the future of that needs to change so bad though.
I mean, I think you have to know your day rate. If you're thinking about, okay, they're gonna bring it, first ask, what is your budget?
Of course.
And then know what your day rate is, and then from there you can kind of, if you even want to be a part of the project, then you can like give them their range. Because
that's the other thing. If it's like a project you like, you're like, all right, I might do this for a little cheaper because I really want to be a part of this opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I would love to talk more about money. with other people because I'm just so interested. And also, I like when someone's honest with me about how much they make, because then I can be like, oh, but I won't say such and such told me, but at least I can come to the table and say,
exactly.
Yeah, so ask as often as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important to have the conversations, because people just don't know. You know, I was working with somebody that always used to ask me, what do you think I should charge? I'm like, well, how much time do you spend on this?
Yeah, like evaluate your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, so would you say that you are happy where you are in your career as a producer, as a brand new producer on one of the most popular podcasts?
Oh, thank you.
Out there?
Yes, I'm happy that I feel like I'm consistently growing. Mm-hmm. I think that's, at the end of the day, I can go to sleep and say, okay, I'm having new challenges every day. My brain is growing. My brain is expanding. Mm-hmm. But I am in a point now where I'm like, I've been working on this one thing for a really long time, and I would love to try other projects.
Yeah. Would you do other projects in addition to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I've invested so much time into my current role that I think I have a strong enough grasp on it that I can pick up. I really want to shoot a short film. And that can also be with, in my same ecosystem of Angie Martinez. Yeah. But I would love to shoot like another music video. I'd love to just grow my creative brain a little bit more. And I think doing that will also just improve me shooting the podcast as well, because it just forces me to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more.
So are you thinking of directing too? Or like when you say music video, are you thinking about just producing a music video or actually directing it?
I think both. Yeah, okay. I think both.
Directing is it's such a skill to me, because I think you have to be able to articulate what you want talent to execute. And to me, that's hard. I prefer producing all day.
Yeah. Why is that? Because it's just you're just doing technicals?
Yeah, it's a lot of administrative things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a creative producer too. So there's that part of it, but I'd rather not have to tell talent, so can you go back to when you were 3? That's not me.
I don't see myself directing a movie, at least not right now. I don't know what's gonna happen later on in life. I don't see myself doing that. I think directing a movie and a TV show is way different than a 4-minute music video. That's just different. But I do want to expand my creative palette a little bit more.
Yeah. I've always been a director by default.
Girl, me too.
Because I couldn't afford to hire directors. I was like, I guess I got to do it on my own. But when I can afford a director on a project, yeah, they can do that.
They speak a different language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you're happy with where you are professionally. I always love to ask personally, are you happy with where you are in your life?
Whoa, we're weighing in right now. And it's getting heavy. I'm about to be 30. So
oh my God, you're like a baby.
Thank you. But in this climate, it's after you turn 25, it's oh my God, I'm gonna die. And I always feel like I got a later start than everybody else on things. And I'm thinking about marriage, and do I want to be a mom? And oh my gosh, I need to be a little bit more along in my life if I want those things. So lately I've been having a lot of conversations with older women about, how long did you wait to have kids? I know that no one's going to give me the right answer. I have to decide that for myself, but I'm right now trying to take in as much intel and other people's experience as I can so that I can make the best informed decision. I know sometimes God comes in and is like, skirt, you thought you had a plan.
But here's what's really going to happen.
Yeah, so I would say I'm in a changing period where I'm I'm not all the way happy, but I'm trying to get to that place.
Okay, what do you do to get to happy?
I need to spend more time alone. No music, no TV, no distractions. I need to spend more time alone. So I started doing there's these things called somatic exercises. Okay. It's like a lazy yoga.
Okay.
and it's supposed to be something that regulates like your stress levels and your autoimmune, whatever, so that you can balance out your hormones. And I've been doing that for like a month and some change, and it's been helping me. You do it, and it's only like 10 minutes a day because I can't commit to any more than that on a consistent basis. And that's been helping me like just come into the day not on like such high stress energy. Because I get producing is really, life is hard, and then producing is really hard. And you have all these energies all the time coming at you. And it's also like, well, who's checking in about my energy? What if I had a bad day on set? Like, and having to be the leadership, what's that Spider-Man quote? Whatever Peter Parker and Spider-Man said, that part. Like, it's true, and it requires so much of you. So it's like, I'm trying to build systems where I'm sitting back and reflecting with myself.
Yeah, I like that. When I first started producing, first of all, I didn't know what producing was.
Nobody does.
There's some people who do. But I was a visual person. I didn't understand it until I was actually doing it. And I remember I was doing this music show. It was like independent artists would have to like, they would be on the M spot, M for Maureen, and then show and prove that, that you can rhyme or sing on the spot, right? The artists were always late, and it would stress me the hell out.
How late?
Like hour and a half, and I had the studio for what, 2 hours? You know what I'm saying? So, and that was at the time that was my whole check, right? And so I was like, and the band was late too. So I was like, okay, I enjoy doing this, and if this is something that I'm gonna do, I need to find my zen. Otherwise, why are you doing this? Because life is hard, right? So I was like, everyone's coming to call time is 2 hours before you're really supposed to be here. And people were on time, and I didn't care.
You're gonna sit right here, and you're gonna deal with that.
I had food. I had sandwiches. They were fine. They knew they were late.
It's also like respect me. Respect
my money.
respect everybody's time here.
So let's get into rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So you can only choose one answer.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Sneaks or heels?
Sneakers.
Beat face or natural?
Natural.
Yeah. Travel or staycation?
Travel.
Mom or rich auntie?
Tracy Ellis Ross, a rich auntie, every single time.
Books or scrolling?
I want to say books, but my real life is scrolling.
TikTok or IG?
IG.
Take a chance and fall in love or guard your heart?
Guard my heart.
Drive or be driven?
Be driven.
Louis V or land?
Like Louis Vuitton or land? Land. Yes. Louis V's not a good one. If it was Bottega and land, ooh, that's a hard one.
What?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Britt Ortiz, Brittany Ortiz. Thank you so much for being on the show.
That was good.
Oh, I always forget this question. Okay.
Which one?
So, what would you say is the podcast is called Weighing In on the Way In. What would you say is the ultimate way in?
How have people answered this in the past?
Oh my God, great answers.
Really?
Yeah, pertaining to themselves. Like the last person I interviewed said therapy.
God damn.
But it was good and it was relevant to her.
My best way in, like way into life.
Way into your career. Like somebody looking to become a producer, what's the ultimate way in? What's the piece of advice?
Treat every interaction with someone as if it could be your next big opportunity, because you never know who the person you're talking to is connected to. Treat every person, high and low, with the same kindness and grace that you'd want to be treated with. And then that's it.
That's it. That was so good. I told you every answer is so good. Thank you.
I'm so glad I did this. You were great.
It. Thank you. You were awesome. Remember, each day you awake is a new chance to pursue your passions. The path may be rocky and you will be challenged, but keep that same persistent energy and be a light in this world. because it needs you. I'm Maureen Aladdin. See you in the next pod.